And we're live.
And we're live.
That's right. What do we have? Stream. Oh yeah, StreamYard. StreamYard says we're live. So we're live. There we go. Welcome everyone to I think this is episode number 8.
Oh, look at you keeping up. I have no idea what episode we're on.
Tennessee Wrestling USA Power Hour podcast. Coming to you live. I'm your host, State Chairman Mike Hatcher. This is my so gracious co-host, Kenya Sloan. And we are going to come at you with the latest in Tennessee wrestling. And Kenya, what's happening tonight? Anything good?
Anything good? I've had a good day. The weather's so pretty here in Colorado. I'll be sad to leave, but the weather's been pretty. I'm excited to get back. This will be my last week here. Next week I'll be in Knoxville.
There it is.
Is this my official announcement? Did we talk about this last week?
I don't think we did. I think the viewers have a right to know.
Yeah, it's about time.
I was asking what's going on in Kenya's world, and we kind of touch on it here and there, but this is a big move. Move.
So
I know Junior Hernandez in the chats right now. Couldn't be more excited.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. He's all over this one. And Junior, I'm sorry to tell you, we're not going for an hour and a half tonight.
We're going for it later.
Yeah. But go ahead, Kenya. What's going on? What's going on in your world here?
So I'm moving back to Knoxville. Knoxville's where I'm from. Knoxville's where I wrestled. So East Tennessee is my home. Obviously, once I'm in Tennessee, I'll get to travel some more. Already trying to game plan maybe a few girls camps for the off season. So I hope everyone stays tuned for those things to come. But yeah, I'll find myself in a Tennessee practice room for the first time in a while this next Monday. So that'll be fun.
Oh, can't wait. That's awesome. Good deal. Well, like I said, we couldn't be happier as a state here. And I think, maybe I should attribute it to this Power Hour podcast. For those of you, for those of you in Knoxville that are going to be benefiting from Miss Kenya Sloan's services, you're welcome.
Lots of healthy peer pressure from our host here.
I'm pretty sure I'm not the only peer pressure person that was trying to get you back. I'm pretty sure with that. So no, that's awesome though. Yeah. That's awesome because you've got some. Not only the wrestling side, but you've also got the education side popping.
Yeah. So I'll start in the fall, which means I'll have pretty much a full season to just dedicate to getting back into wrestling and coaching a little bit, and then I'll juggle back and forth. I'll be in an academic program. I'll start a doctor of physical therapy degree, which sounds like way too fancy for me to pursue, but it's happening. So I'll be doing that, and also I'll be coaching at the same time.
Wow. So, yeah. Okay. So. Well, that's one of the things. I mean, I always pride myself in surrounding myself with better people. So, some people would be intimidated by that, but you know what? I'm excited for that one day where I can say my co-host, national champion, and doctor.
One day.
I mean, my title is always going to be the same until they throw me out of the state chairman position because I'm not doing my deal. And I don't think anybody's going to be. I've been trying to give the state chairman position away for a number of years, and nobody seems to be interested.
That's because you're so good at it. Big shoes to fill.
I think it might be. There's not a whole lot of incentive to it, but no, it's awesome though, Kenya. We're super happy to have you back, and can't wait. Can't wait to see how this all unfolds. And I don't know. I'm kind of thinking we need some help on our national teams next summer.
Oh, absolutely.
Just saying.
Absolutely.
Just saying. Because I know how tight you are with Junior Hernandez, who's blowing up this message right now, and Delilah Queen. I've got him already hooked for his services coming up on national teams moving forward. He told me that last year, so I'm holding him to that. Yeah, we almost had him last year, so we almost had Junior last year. Now we use, as everybody knows, we use the first 5-10 minutes to just chop it up a little bit, see where it's at. But considering Junior too is a weekly, he's weekly avid listener to what we got going on here. Last year, he was going to help us out on a last minute deal where we brought our first 14U team to Tulsa. Okay, and the 14U coach that we had had committed to it, had to stay back. For some stuff at Baylor. It was Ed Holland. Unfortunately, he had some things that he had to stay for Baylor too, some certification stuff and all that stuff. So we were just combing the whole state trying to get some coach. And we asked Junior, and Junior was his wife was pregnant about that same time, and he was trying to make it work. But obviously, we knew where he sat. But just for him to step up and try to make that work at the time was pretty cool. We know how committed the wrestling is. So I told him, I said, I will be reaching out to you So he knows he's fully prepared to
Yeah.
he's going to be that he's going to be helping out future. So we'll have him, we'll have Kenya, we'll have get a
I
little all-star team
can't
together.
think of a better power team other than Junior.
No. Heck no, we go. Yeah, we're definitely we got to get that rolling. So absolutely,
it'll be
good
fun.
deal.
So what's going on in the life of Coach Hatcher?
Well, yeah, it's the same old thing. Well, I was out of town last weekend. I was in Virginia actually. Really good friend of mine, Josh Ward, who's a ex-UTC wrestler. I met him through actually when he was wrestling for Coach Brands at UTC. I met him through there. But he got married in a cave of all places, which is kind of
that's
unusual.
Cool.
Yeah, the Luray Caverns in Virginia, which was really cool. So actually, it was a great trip. And I mean, a lot of my trips are to beach locations and where I just kind of lay around and just whatever, blah blah blah. But this one is. I mean, when I go on trips like this, I look back and it was just great because so Luray Caverns is about an hour and a half outside of DC. So I was going to fly into DC, but then I was thinking I had some friends in Richmond that just moved to Richmond about 3 years ago, and kind of looked to see where that was. It was only a couple hours, like 2.5 hours away. So I was like, shoot, this is a great day. So
yeah, you have to.
Yep. So my really good friend Eric Phillips, who I coached with for the Tennessee people, they know who Coach Phillips is. I mean, he was at Cleveland for a while with us because middle school, Cleveland High School's state championship team, like way back, very first one for a while. Just an amazing human being. I met him in Miami when I was living down in South Florida. We coached in Florida for a number of years, then coached them here at UTC, or not UTC, but in Tennessee for a number of years. He's a dear friend of mine. So him, and then another really, really great friend of mine, Heath Esslinger, who was the reason that I came to Tennessee. Him and Eric were actually, they kind of recruited me to come to Cleveland and run the higher calling club program at the time. And then I went with Heath to UTC and was his assistant for 6 years at UTC as a volunteer and also as their RTC coach, RTC at the time. And so they moved to Richmond about 2-3 years ago with this system that they have called the Better Way, and doing really, really great. So I actually got to see their offices, see how they going on, and I haven't seen them forever. And it was just awesome. Cause I mean, they literally are like family to me. So I was super, it was an amazing couple of days there. And then of course at Josh's wedding, Josh is a dear friend of mine as well. I get to see some other wrestling people and, that people would know. Drew Roberts, I know people would know him. He's actually an East Tennessee guy. Matt Pitts, who was the UTC wrestler at the time, Jason Fennell, Bobby Bosserdette, who wrestled at Carson Newman. Just really great friends. And it was a fantastic weekend. Yeah.
That's super cool. There's like nothing better than being around people who've known you, not just
being around good friends and good family, and it was fantastic. Great weekend. So can't complain. So now I'm back here grinding it out, and so it is what it is. That's it.
That's awesome.
So, but I think we go ahead and get into it right now.
Do you want to tell us
enough about us, huh? It ain't about us, can you? Let's get into it with these kids, huh?
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, okay, get on with it.
Everybody's like, we don't want to about it. I don't know. We're pretty interesting. So you never know. You never know what's gonna. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen.
Sometimes.
What we got going on right now in the state. I mean, we just kind of poked around, and that's kind of what we're. And any for listeners that are listening live or listen on obviously the tape delay, we're actually looking for just any type of content, any type of leads on what's going on throughout our state. We have someone on the girl side that's really kind of gathering the information that you can analyze and kind of talk about in the show. I need a couple people on the guy side, to kind of say, hey, this tournament's going on this weekend. This tournament's going on this weekend. Hey, this person did really well, showed out here, at this kids tournament, whatever the case may be. We're looking for people to help us out with that. We can never have too much to choose from. So that's just a little plug there. But I know right now throughout the state, we got a lot of preseason tournaments going on. And we had some pretty competitive ones last weekend. I'm going to let Kenya get into the girl side of it. And right now, and she'll kind of give a walk down through that. And I'll probably do a little bit on the boys side. And then actually, you know what? Maybe let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and do the girl side. And then we're going to bring our guest in on the girl side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She's in the waiting room right now. So, and then I'll review a little bit from the boys preseason that I had, the information I brought up that I got up, and then we'll have our guys guest on. So how's that sound?
I think that's perfect. I love how we're making up our schedule as we go.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, that's the way it works. We got it. The baby steps. We got it. We got a more professional, more,
yeah,
more professional intro going on, and now we just can't pull the switch like that. And I'm gonna let you go all by yourself here. I'll get right back in here in a second, but let the audience know what happened last week in the girls' side.
Okay, yeah, sure. So last weekend, the big, he left. Okay. Last weekend, the big thing that we had going on in Tennessee for the girls' side is that we had this preseason tournament at Tullahoma obviously I wasn't there, sadly. Hopefully I'll be able to actually be at these tournaments soon. But from the looks of it, it was a really, really big, really, really successful preseason tournament. It was different in the fact that, well, they might have done this in the past, I'm not sure, but different than obviously a normal season tournament in that the girls didn't necessarily wrestle in a set aside TSSAA weight class. They kind of grouped them together, from my understanding, by weight. So they tried to, it looked like maybe a 10 to 15 pound range. They tried to group those weight classes and then also try and group the girls by skill. So it's kind of hard to go over those results and say, who was the absolute best at each weight, who had the most success, because they were also grouping them by skill level. So, but there were a few cool things that happened. It also made it interesting to compare because there were some preseason rankings that came out this past week. I'm not sure the full process of how the rankings were decided, but I know that it looked like there were at least two girls head coaches from each region who kind of got to vote and contribute to a point system. From my understanding, this is new than how they've done it in the past from the girls, but going over all the rankings would take forever and be so long. But considering the rankings in this tournament, there were a few things that allowed us to kind of analyze some things that were surprising. So at the 100-pound weight class, both of these girls are ranked at 100 pounds, but obviously they kind of just grouped them for this tournament. But there were two girls ranked at 100 pounds who met at Tullahoma, Peyton Agnell and Alyssa Archer. Peyton from Tullahoma and then Alyssa from Franklin County. And I guess you could consider this an upset of sorts. I don't know if things are that big when it's preseason, but I know that Alyssa was ranked higher than Peyton in the rankings that were released, and then Peyton beat Alyssa in the same week. She was able to win by decision in 4-0. So that's always interesting to see. Obviously, no matter how good a ranking system is put together, I mean, there's so many different systems and processes, but I mean, even in the predictions that we had made from who's number one and stuff like that, no matter how much thought or science, you put behind it, anything could happen on any given day. So, but of course it's always fun and juicy to think, whenever the underdog comes out on top. So it was cool to see.
And you're always going to get some sort of drama with the rankings.
Yeah, always. It never goes easily.
I can't believe someone's ranked over what.
Yeah, and it looks like, the system that they put together, again, I don't know who all was involved in creating it, but it looked as much less biased than some of the other processes that I've seen, where it's truly a group of coaches getting together and saying, well, I think this and I think that. But it was based on a point system from a series of tournaments, and who beat who. It's if you place a certain place, I think I'm assuming at the state tournament last year, because there were some freshmen in the ranking. I'm not quite sure how they decided that, but if you place a certain place, you get a certain amount of points, and they would take 1 through 6 at certain tournaments, and then just allocate those points, and then the more points you get, the higher you're ranked. And so it seemed less oh, I think she could beat this person, or they beat them 3 years ago. It was pretty recent and objective, it seemed like. So that was cool. But Melanie Val, who was also ranked, who was ranked number 2 at her weight, she won that Tullahoma. I think the girl who was ranked number 1 didn't end up being there. That is another thing that makes it hard about these preseason tournaments. Yeah. But Emily Wilson, who was also ranked pretty high in her weight, won the tournament. And then there was another pretty cool upset. So I was pretty much listening to these by people who we would expect to win because they were ranked, and they did win at Tullahoma. Right. But then there was another upset. Jade Lenhart, who was ranked number 4, beat Madison Newburn, who was ranked number 2 at the same weight. So it was another situation where I'm sure immediately after the rankings come out, whenever things get kind of upset, it's surprising when it doesn't go as expected. But Yeah, those are some of like the big things that happened as you would expect from the rankings that came out, and then things that were also kind of surprising because of the rankings that had just recently come out. So the next big thing it looks like is I would assume it would also be considered a preseason tournament, but there should be a pretty similar turnout next weekend at Blackman. So that'll be fun for us to be able to review, and maybe some of the girls who were high in the rankings but weren't at this preseason tournament will be there next weekend, and we can maybe kind of compare the two.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who you're going to get at these preseason tournaments. It's just because it depends. It depends how active they were in the preseason. If they went to the War of the Roses, they went to Super 32, they went to all these.
Yeah, and at this point, I feel like it's so dependent, just like on your school, on your head coach, and the program and the schedule that they set out. It's like if your school goes, you go, and if your school doesn't, then normally you don't. That's how it works in high school, at least.
Yeah, and I was like, I was going through. Obviously, I just pulled up on track. I just put in Tennessee and searched it through Tennessee from last weekend, so I saw what kind of, tournaments were out there. Some of them don't even, I know one of them had the brackets made, but didn't even really keep score with it. It's about getting matches and it's time getting, especially for your younger people.
I saw, this is so random, but it's because my mom probably shared it on Facebook or something. If you ever want to really like see the embarrassing side of my life, I'll like be friends with my mom on Facebook. She shared like this preseason tournament that was maybe at like Bearden High School or something from whenever I was maybe middle school or a freshman, but it was like a big tournament. There was hundreds of people there. You could even see like in the background, and it was just a takedown tournament.
Yeah.
I was watching and I was like, what is happening? And I forgot that those even existed, but we're just like taking each other down and coming back up. But that like this time in the preseason is really just about like getting to wrestle people that aren't in your room and hopefully getting some mat time. So it's like not too much pressure. And I hope that us like reviewing some of the things that happen in the preseason stuff doesn't add pressure to the athletes. Cause I mean, this is where you're supposed to try things and just, wrestle people. But it's still fun to touch upon.
Just start getting back in the swing of it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to see anything embarrassing, in my life at all, just follow me in general. Don't even follow my mom and dad. I mean, no need for that. Just I'm an embarrassment on an everyday basis. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
So people actually got to do some work to find some embarrassing moments with you, Kenya.
And that's not that hard. I asked my mom to stop tagging me on these things. I'm like, can you make it harder for people to see my embarrassing moments?
Well, tell you what, speaking of a ranking system and non-embarrassing moments,
not embarrassing at all.
I'm trying to think here, like what kind of point system, if we were going to rank the point systems of like all these tournaments and stuff like that, how many points would Piper Fowler have? Would it
too
be
many? It would be unfair.
There's a possibility to have, let's just say 50 points. I mean, is it fair if Piper has like 300?
I think it has to be fair. I mean,
because literally, let's get on that. We'll speak about this, about like what she has had transpire in the past year when we get her on here, because it's been.
Go ahead and bring her on.
Let's bring her on here. There he is. The champ is here.
Hello, the champ is here. I mean, talk about being in the presence of greatness, Mike. This is what you say every time you're with me, but we are with true greatness right now.
I'm out. I'm about ready to. I'll let these two take over.
Hello, Piper. To all of our guests, this is Piper Fowler. And if you don't know this name, then you must be living under a rock if you're in the wrestling community in the state of Tennessee. I mean, series of accolades, 3-time state champion, going for number 4. True.
2-time going
for number 3. Yep. Sorry, I'm aging you right now. Well, it's just I'm predicting the future because you will be a 3. But most recently, and like the coolest and obvious reason that we're having her on, it feels so delayed. But Piper is most recently U17 world champion. And so how could we not? It feels like a shame and a sin that we haven't had her on our podcast quite yet. But before we go into
that's host issues there.
Well,
nothing to do with Kenya Sloan or anything else. That's like, yeah, we do have a world champion in the state. We might want to have her on here at some point.
Yeah. It was just kind of crazy timing because we weren't really like recording whenever you won, but it happened, and it's like this needs to happen because I'm pretty sure you are the first female in the state of Tennessee to win a world championship. So awesome! Congratulations to you. Thanks for joining us. Tell us how's it been with your high school season so far? Getting back into the swing of things.
It's going good. We have a lot of girls that have joined our team this year, a lot of returners and a lot of new girls that are definitely getting the hang of things. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. About how many girls you guys have a really well-developed program over there. About how many girls would you say you have on your team?
Oh, probably 20,
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
more, yeah.
Was it like that this past year, or is that kind of new?
The first year we had the team, we had a smaller group, but as we progress, we get more and more girls coming out and joining, especially after winning state last year. More girls are seeing that it's a serious program and
Yeah.
wanting to come out and be a part of something special. So,
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? So in your room, I mean, obviously you're talking about you've got some new girls coming out and wanting to try the sport or wanting to get into wrestling, but you are on the opposite side of that spectrum. So I'm sure you're taking a lot of those girls under your wing and things like that. But who in your team and who like in your room would you say like are your practice partners, the people that can really push you and challenge you?
my practice partner right now is Bella Harris.
Yeah.
She's the 152, 145. She's wrestled both weight classes.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're usually practice partners every day. And then
Mhm.
sometimes, for not high school practices, but other practices, I'll practice with like my brothers or
Yeah.
somebody like that. So,
Yeah. Okay, that reminds me. We should probably like take a few steps back. Tell us how you got into wrestling. How long have you been wrestling? Like what inspired you?
I've been wrestling for 11 years, I
Mhm.
think. I started wrestling around 5 years old.
Yeah.
Um, my parents first put me into ballet because that's what my older sister did.
Wow.
Okay.
And then they put my twin brother, Sai, in, wrestling, just like my older brothers, following in both our older siblings' footsteps. And I came home telling my parents that I hated dancing,
Yeah.
and
Do
they wanted
you remember this? Do you remember telling them like I hate wrestling or they just said
Yeah, yes, I hated dance, and Sai would come home every day, and he would be like, "Oh, I'm having so much fun at wrestling practice," and all I would just get so jealous, and I finally went up to my parents, and I was like, "I want to wrestle," and they were like,
Mhm.
"No, you don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
So they made me finish dance that year, and then they were like and I kept constantly telling them that I wanted to quit, and I wanted to wrestle, and then they finally listened to me, and they were like, "Do you actually wanna wrestle?" And I was like, "Yes." And so they took me to a camp at Oakland,
Mhm.
and they were thinking that I would go, I would get beat up, I would say I'm done, and that would be it. But I
Yeah.
went and I loved it, and I was doing pretty well for my first time ever wrestling, and the coaches were coming up to my parents telling them that they should let me continue to wrestle, and so
Yeah.
they did as much as they didn't want to.
Yeah. Was that your last year doing ballet?
It was.
What an
That's so
amazing
wild.
an amazing trade. Like
Talking
we
about
wouldn't have
you talked about two totally different
yeah.
genres there, boy. Oh my goodness.
That's crazy. It's crazy to think that like the Piper Fowler could potentially be like a ballet dancer today
Yeah.
instead of our world champion.
Well, who's the one MMA fighter? What's her name? Oh shoot, Somchenko, but
I won't know.
she's like she's a savage. But she was an ex dancer, and now she
Okay.
beats people up for a living, and she does like some dance moves when she's done
Oh my
she was UFC champ for a while. I can't remember. Oh, that's gonna bother me. But I mean, she's she's a savage.
legit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, she was the next dancer
So
too.
what I'm hearing is that Mike would like to see you do a few
Yeah, I want to see
ballet
some
twirls
ballerina moves
after
when
your
we
next
start
world
winning.
championship
Well,
as a celebration.
You need to Google her, Piper, and then all of us, and kind of copy a little bit of those moves when you see her in the octagon. That's just she just knocks you out with
Yeah.
a kick in the head, and
oh,
then you could copy her celebration moves.
I have no dance skills
No,
at all,
that's
so
it, huh? That was you retired. That was a long time ago,
Well,
yeah.
that's okay. We're okay with your lack of dance skills, given your like surplus in
That's it.
wrestling skills.
Yeah, we'll take you in wrestling. That's good.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we keep you here.
So you were how old? Maybe like I'm trying to go back 11 from how old are you? 15. So you were like what, 5 or 6 when you started wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you were that age, or even like when you decided to wrestle in high school, did you ever see yourself or even know it was a possibility for you to be able to like wrestle overseas and represent like the sorry, my cat's opening the door. It scared me. Oh my god. Did you ever see yourself like or imagine yourself wrestling overseas representing the United States of America?
I mean, obviously, I think every little girl dreams of like whatever sport they do, but I think every little girl that wrestles dreams of being in the Olympics someday and watches the big girls on the TV and wants to be
Yeah.
just like them. So I always looked up to those girls and always wanted to be at that level, but I don't think that until I got into around 7th or 8th grade, I started to take it as seriously
Mhm.
and realize that I could become a world champion and possibly, you know, an Olympic champion and continue my career as far as it can go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so crazy. I mean, was it your dream? Do you think after you started to take it serious, like, was it your dream? Like, did you picture that moment, like, I'll win a world championship someday? Or did you just like keep working hard and eventually you're like, whoa, I'm here?
I think I didn't really know, like, what all was out there for,
Mhm.
women's wrestling to accomplish because, you know, it wasn't as big when I was
Yeah,
younger,
sure.
but, as the opportunities came, I started to realize, wow, I really can do this. I really can
Mhm.
accomplish these type of things, so, yeah.
Yeah. So that year, 2023, you won this year, 2023,
Yes.
right? So was this like a goal that you set going into your season and postseason was to make a world team and go and medal, or were you just kind of wrestling the cycle?
No, I definitely wanted to make our world team.
Mhm.
I didn't know what wrestling overseas would be like, how the girls would be
Yeah.
like. So I was just happy to make the world team, and then
Yeah.
when I got there, I set more goals for myself, wanted to place, and then, you know, I ended up making it to the finals and was like, "Might as well."
Yeah. Yeah. So did you guys do any like um help me think of any acclimation camp before you guys went? Because your world championship was in Turkey, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we had a training camp at the OTC.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a while beforehand. So when I was here in Tennessee, me and Coach Boskin got together and figured out a like time zone plan. So when I came back from Fargo, like a week or two before Turkey, we started to change our schedules to Turkey time. So I
Oh
was
my
at
goodness.
like 2 a.m. and just getting acclimated because I wanted to be at my best
Mhm.
performance level when I got over there and didn't want those other girls to have the time advantage over me.
Mhm.
And then we got to Turkey, like 2 or 3 days before the competition, so we were able to practice there and get ourselves ready for the competition.
Yeah. Tell us what it's like. I mean, I've had a little bit of experience myself, and I think I never realized it until it was me wrestling someone from a different country. But like, tell us what it's like wrestling a foreign athlete versus someone from here in the States. Like, what differences did you notice?
One of the big differences is that the girls in the United States, are very offensive. They always wanna
Mhm.
shoot, and
Mhm.
girls from, other countries, I realize most other girls don't really shoot. They usually do upper body, try to throw or just defend or whatever it is, and the United States are very high attacking, so
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So did you after you like began to realize that, did you have to change your game plan, like in how you wrestle, or were you able to like wrestle the style that you always do?
No, I wrestled the style that I always wrestle. I went in there with a game plan and I stuck to that every single match. I didn't change anything. I just kept everything the same and knew what I needed to do, what I was good at, and what would work. So,
Yeah.
Now with now getting to that point, now would you like during your camp at the OTC, did they have some good film on your potential opponents and stuff like that from overseas perspective, or was it a deal where you just got into the tournament and just had to figure it out on the fly?
we didn't really have much film of girls overseas.
Mhm.
They didn't go over any of that at the OTC. We just kind of trained and got acclimated, had hard workouts, got whatever we needed to do. But once we actually got over to Turkey, we were able to get a little bit of film, whatever you could kind of find.
Right.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much. So,
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, I mean, I would assume like on the senior level, both on the men's and women's side, I mean, I mean, it's pretty easy to find
Yeah, super easy.
a lot of
Mhm.
on the opponents. I didn't know if that was like that
Yeah.
at the U17. Um,
Yeah. I think it's definitely much more difficult as you get into like the age group divisions because it's also unlike at the seniors, you never know like who is going to show up where they come from. It's always like random, and there's probably some consistencies. And I don't know if you'd ever like watched did you watch like age group international competition before you were the one competing in it, or this was your kind of like your first time?
I've watched some, yeah.
Okay, so were you familiar with any of the opponents that you had to wrestle?
No. I mean, we were able to get some film on some of the girls that had wrestled at that tournament before, or some type of international tournaments before, but some of the girls there was literally nothing on.
Yeah, sure.
Just had to go out there and wrestle.
Yeah, probably like you. Like if these girls from overseas were trying to, I mean, we know how to find film on you, but like these girls from overseas, if they were wanting to know who's Piper Fowler, like they probably weren't able to find much either. So at least it was able to work both ways. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what's coming up next for you. I'm trying to think if I know already. Tell me about your like back in your high school room. What's going on in your guys' room, and what do you have coming up next?
Well, right now we're getting ready for Blackman preseason, which will be our first tournament of the season. For our girls team, some girls' first tournament ever. So we're really excited to see how the girls wrestle and see how we do. So yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to bring back like experience from like wrestling overseas and world championships to some of the girls in your room, even the ones that are brand new, or do you kind of keep it to yourself?
I mean, a lot of the girls ask me a lot of questions about going over there, so I answer as many questions as they want and let them know that like whatever they want to accomplish, if they end up taking it serious and they want to be on the higher level, then they definitely can.
Yeah. So then give us a little sneak peek. I mean, there's got to be, the girls on your team got to have this advice already, and the girls that are close to you, but there's so many athletes that are watching, I'm assuming and hoping, that have big goals, like the goals that you've reached. And I mean, for so many people, we probably think, oh, it can never be me. Like, like someone could go win world championship, but it could never be me. So what advice would you give to like the athletes who, have never thought to even dream that big before?
I would just say work hard every day, no matter what. Don't have self-doubt. You have to have self-confidence in order to accomplish big things. That's really hard sometimes, but always keep your head up and just learn from your mistakes and learn from your losses. And even if you didn't lose a match, there's always something to get better at and always something to improve on that everybody can do. So I would just say,
yeah. Like, why can't it be you? You could be the next Piper Fowler.
Yeah.
That's cool. We need t-shirts. Awesome.
There you go.
Mike, do you have anything for Piper? Is there anything?
I tell you what, I've been obviously watching, Piper wrestle for a few years now since I've been back in Tennessee, and I had her on the podcast for the very first one. The old podcast that I had. And I think it probably has a lot to do with my co-host now. and it actually is a testament to Piper. But I'm telling you what, she is Piper. The way that you conduct yourself. Now you did conduct yourself before, but Piper was very shy back then. I had to pull some conversation out of her. And,
these girls,
man, I tell you, look at her, man. She's got such a personality now. This is awesome. Yeah, this is awesome. So I tell you what, man.
Well, she's famous. She's
she's probably taking those. Yeah, she's probably taking them classes that they acclimate you to, like the fame stuff. And I obviously had no reason to take them.
But, she has to learn what to do when the paparazzi chase her down the street.
I think that's it. I think is that what happened, Piper? You've been taking those classes?
No, I haven't. Maybe I should, but I haven't.
Well,
you're doing good.
You're doing great. I tell you what, we couldn't be prouder. Just the fact that we have a world champion here in Tennessee is just amazing.
It changes the game.
Yeah, Piper's just an outstanding person just in general. So well-rounded. And that's why, we have, these kids on here that have huge accolades, between her and Cooper Hilton and people like that, just throw a few names out. But not only just amazing wrestlers, but just amazing kids in general, amazing people. So Piper, we just appreciate you and everything you stand for and all you do for our sport and all that you do for our state.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. That's all I got right there. And actually, you know what, Piper, I think this is the first time that we've ever had over in double digits for viewers. So we're gonna there we go.
It is you.
We had 12 before, Kenya. We're up over 10 live viewers. You got to start somewhere. Usually we're kind of hovering between 4 and 6. But tonight we got 11 right now as we speak.
Oh, they all came for you, Piper.
Right there, huh? We're getting there. Moving on up, Kenya.
We'll have to have Piper on more often. Maybe we'll get more people.
That's it. Watch. You know what? Maybe next time we'll get over 20. Who knows? But I'm sure that she's probably going to do something great to where we're going to have her on here again. I'm sure this isn't the last time.
So. I'm positive. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us, Piper. It's truly an honor to have you represent our state.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again, Piper. We appreciate you. Oh, there you go. My bad. I went to remove her. You removed yourself. Oh, so I removed you too. But oh man, great. I mean, the Fowlers in general, that whole family is
just I got to meet all of them recently. I got to meet all of them because they were here for what was it, the U20 camp, the junior camp that the girls did. And so I know one of her brothers was here visiting. And so, yeah, the whole family had come. And that was my first time meeting all of the Fowlers. It was my first time meeting her mom, Mackenzie, who I corresponded with so much. But yeah, they're all great people. And, you know, there's such a correlation that, like, it's pretty obvious. Like, we have great wrestlers on here, and they're always great people. Like, we never have people on here that are just, like, super amazing wrestlers. And we're like, yeah, they're kind of poopy, though.
Yeah, they kind of suck. No, never have that. That ain't happening. No, the Fowlers are awesome. And Mackenzie, I mean, she's been on our board here for the last, I believe, 2 years as our secretary, but she's a huge help. Actually, she's now our new women's director, and she just does a ton for our organization. And just we're very, very fortunate for that, the Fowler family here in Tennessee for sure. So really great people. But well, that's awesome. There we go. Well, we're going to switch it up here to the guy side.
Yeah, what do you have going on?
Well, we actually had some. I mean, there was. I mean, I looked on here, and like I said again, I pulled all the preseason stuff, and we had a preseason King of the Mat tournament in Germantown. We had a middle school tournament in Chattanooga. We had Memphis Mayhem in Memphis that was going on out there in Memphis at Christian Brothers. Nolensville, which I'll get into a couple of results there. Had a tournament there in Nolensville, Tennessee, here in Middle Tennessee. Pigeon Forge had one. You talked already about the Tullahoma tournament there, and then McMinnville had one at Warren, and then Wilson Central had a one at their middle school as well. So we got these middle school tournaments popping up here, and a lot of kids wrestling last weekend. I know just looking at the Nolensville results. There were some good matches there, some really good matches. You were talking about the ranked kids. I probably could have came and saw and just kind of see what we had from a rank perspective, but I knew we had some state place winners that were in that in that bunch there, and we actually had a couple. We had Clark Vaughn from Brentwood. He wrestled Riddick Romano in the finals at Nolensville. Riddick was 6th last year in D1 big schools, and Clark was 4th. At 152 D1 big schools, and Clark ended up getting the best of Riddick in the finals. But that's a really good matchup, for a preseason tournament. Then Clark's Brentwood teammate Arash Azdani, who was 4th last year in D1 big schools. He wrestled Andrew Canal, who's from Pope John Paul, who was 4th last year in the D2s. Last year they met in the finals. Arash got the best of him. But those are two pretty solid matches, for preseason tournaments. Anytime you can get your hands on someone that's that's a state place winner from the year before, state medalist from the year before. It's
and it's so unpredictable because going into a preseason tournament, I mean, you could wrestle, like, being a pretty high placer, you could just go through your match and wrestle someone who's not quite your caliber the entire tournament, or you could meet like the other best person in the state at your weight, and it's kind of like you just go in prepared for whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's like, plus you just never know how prepared they are at that point in time. You
that's true.
Have a state qualifier that hasn't been really doing much in the off season, hasn't really done much up to the preseason yet. Might be a little bit out of shape and not really weight's not. I mean, it's you never know what you're gonna get. So it's pretty interesting. But another point, and I just love, and I gotta throw it out there because he's a good buddy of mine, and he's doing great things here in the Middle Tennessee area. But Grace Christian Academy, my boy Scott Shipman just started a program there, brand spanking new. I mean, literally just started it. I would say if it's been 2 months, that's way too long. Cause
wow.
I mean, like literally, I mean, it wasn't like, okay, we're going to start this program next year. I mean, this dude literally started this at the end of the summer.
Yeah. And then threw everyone to the wolves.
He said, hey, why not? Anybody knows Scott Shipman. I'm not surprised because he's the man, but I'm going to start this high school program. And then all of a sudden, well, I'm going to need a middle school team because I want to be competitive. So I'm going to do the middle school too. So I'm going to be the middle school and the high school. And then all of a sudden, he texted me a couple weeks ago and said, Yeah, I'm thinking about starting a kids club. That's going to feed. I'm like, that sounds about right. But I saw them at the Nolensville tournament with the results, and it was really cool because, it kind of, and again, shout out for, what we got going on here in Middle Tennessee, but he saw a lot of our young guns kids there, from other teams. I mean, we had Brentwood kids and Brentwood kids, Grace Christian kids, all, competing against each other. And they, he's watching practice, for the most part, Nolensville kids that come over to our young guns practices, and a lot of them are there and competing against each other. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. But shout out to Scott. I mean, I just saw him tonight. They were wrestling at Brentwood Academy in a middle school. And I just love it when new programs pop up. I think it's so important. And having people like him in charge of just a program is awesome. So, so those are kind of some of the notes I took away from the preseason. So I'm pretty excited about that. But,
that's cool.
But now, I mean, you tell you what, we talk when we switch gears into the college side. I mean, and you know this firsthand. I mean, when you talk, now we're not even in the college preseason. There is no preseason. Once you start open tournaments, it's okay. You better ready to roll.
Yeah.
No,
if the open tournaments are their preseason, preseason's tougher than the actual season.
Yeah. When the open tournaments start, okay. Yeah. Especially at the Division I college level, because now you're talking about, you start knocking off ranked wrestlers in the preseason. That helps you later on for your score.
Absolutely.
For your national qualifier allocations for your particular conference. And our next guest had a monster of a performance, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. We were trying to get him on last week. We couldn't make it work last week. He was at he's the leader of their FCA group at Chattanooga. So he was busy on the Tuesday night, but man, I tell you what, this was a huge thing. So I'm gonna bring him in right now, and we're gonna walk through his bracket a little bit and kind of pick this guy's brain. But this is a Tennessee legend right here. There he is.
What up,
Brayden Palmer?
Can you hear me?
There he is, right there.
I can hear you. Yeah. Hi, Brayden.
Brayden, this is Kenya, my co-host. This is Brayden Palmer, wrestles at UTC when there's studs. I used to say 133 pounder. Brayden Palmer, not no more. You look a little skinnier.
It's a cut for sure.
Yes, sir. Well, Brayden, Tennessee state champ, couple-time national qualifier, wrestles at UTC now. Beach High School alumni from my boy Jeff Roberts, and I'm going to probably put in a little plug later. But Brayden is actually coming doing a camp for us here on Black Friday.
Oh, awesome.
For any of you Middle Tennessee wrestlers that want to get better, you might want to be there. Just saying. You got a pretty good guy there. So you're not going to come here. You're not going to come see me teach technique, and you actually have somebody that knows what he's doing. So, but without further ado, we'd love to have this guy on here. Brayden, thanks so much for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, man, you a couple weekends ago, I mean, wow, you had quite the weekend. A lot of people didn't even know that you went down to 25, I think. Was that kind of
I mean, yeah, I kept it on the down low for a while. I mean, I told people like around me, but we didn't like post it anywhere or anything like that.
Right. So you basically showed up to the tournament and people like, oh, what's this guy doing here?
Oh yeah. I mean, even the hydration was a whole pain in the butt by itself. And then making weight, just getting down there the first time. I made it actually first time for U20 or the trials for U23s or whatever. I forget what it's called, whatever. But I was dealing with a back injury like all summer, and I made the weight, but first match my back gave out again, and I was done instantly. So going into the first match at Clarion, I made the weight and stuff, but there's a lot in my head like, man, I don't know if it's the right decision and stuff. And it was just I was pretty nervous going into it, but after I got that first one, I felt good and knew it was the right decision.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, because I tell you what, when you move down away, I mean, especially, I mean, it wasn't like you're a small 33 pounder. I mean, you were, I mean, not like the biggest on the block, but I mean, you had some, decent size. It wasn't like you were getting pushed around at 33.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I'm pretty strong, so I felt like I had a strength advantage at 33, and then at 25, like they felt small.
Like grabbing all the middle schoolers right now, isn't it?
I could when I got on top, I couldn't move.
Yeah, I could see that. I could 100% see that. Man.
What kind of went into your decision to go down? Was it just because you knew that you'd be able to manhandle these guys?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. The weight class is kind of
open.
33. I mean, I want to win a national title, and I think anyone at 33. I mean, he got beat last week, but I think anyone at 25 is a lot easier than beating Vito. So And I mean, last year I was walking around like 37. So
yeah,
I was like, I think I can make it. Might as well try.
Yeah.
And plus you start throwing, I mean, Vito would, I mean, obviously he's Vito.
Yeah, he's Vito. That's all you have to say.
But you also, I mean, you got a slew of other guys in there too. I mean, it's like, I mean, it doesn't drop off if there is a drop off after him. I mean,
I've even like Fix, and then like I said, Vito got beat. I mean, I wrestled Fix to a tough match last year, but still, like, there's a decent amount that I needed to gain to beat him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, let's get into what a couple of weeks ago. So basically, for those of you that weren't paying attention, I mean, this was at the Clarion Open, and the bracket that Brayden ended up winning, I would say probably the number one seed. You could say was he was the featured guy, but it was it was Matt Ramos, national finalist last year from Purdue, who I mean, he's a national finalist. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I'm not. Me being an Iowa fan, I'm not going to say we beat in the semifinals. That's not, I'm not going to disclose that. But at the end of the day, he's in the national finals last year. I mean, obviously the stud there from Purdue, and then the Nicholas Baden from Columbia also, seeded number 2, tough kid, who you had in the semis. Is that right, Brayden?
Yeah, semis.
Yeah. So kind of walk us through that. I mean, was that kind of your first, I guess, let's just call it test at that weight class, you think?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, the other guys were decent, but I majored my way to the semis, and then I had him, and he won 2 matches at NCAAs last year. So I thought it was going to be a fight, but I handled him pretty well. I took him down, turned him, got up 7-0 in like 30 seconds, and then I cruise control from there. I rode him out the whole period, took him down again, rode him out, and then I think I reversed him and rode him. I think his one point or he may have had 2 points because I let him up at the end, but the one point he got at the end was me figure fouring my legs accidentally on his back.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was really the match that I'm like, oh yeah, this is my weight class, and I think I could win it, because beating a top 15 guy that won 2 matches in NCAAs and I destroyed him, I was like, okay, yeah, this is the right weight class for me.
I love it. Well, then in the finals, I mean, it kind of took a weird. You would think that I mean, Ramos last year in the national finals, you would think that in the Clarion Open, beginning of the season, that he'd probably be in the finals of this, but no, there was a 17-year-old kid that said, I don't know about that, which is bizarre. But you're talking about the U17 world champion Marcus Blaze, who ended up beating Ramos in the finals, which was obviously all over Flo when that happened. And that's who Brayden had in the finals. And this just kind of gets back to and Kenya, you and I have talked about this multiple times in podcasts. I mean, how good the high school kids are coming out of high school now. It's
changing. It's a different game.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, to have a national finalist get knocked off by a 17-year-old in the semifinals of a college tournament is just crazy. So, I mean, was that kind of a surprise to you, I guess, having to face him?
Yeah, it was. I was pretty upset. I'm not going to lie, because I knew it was going to happen. Kind of a little bit of a funny story. In the semis against Babin, we were going at the same time, because that's how they usually do it. I was up 13-0 or whatever. I was on top, looking back, watching that match, because I saw it was.
Oh my goodness!
And then I turned away. I saw it was in overtime. I turned away, and I heard the whole place go insane. So I was like, "Yeah, he lost," and I was pretty upset, because I mean, obviously Blaze is tough, not that, but if you look at the rankings now, I knew they were going to do it. If I beat Blaze, I'm like, they had me at 13 or something. Yeah. But if I would beat Ramos, I'd be 2. Yeah. So I knew they would do that, but I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I just think it's dumb, because I knew they were going to do that. And obviously, you want to be the guy to beat the guy. You don't want to, what I'm saying? I wanted to be that guy to beat him. So, I mean, that's the whole reason I went to that tournament too, was to try and wrestle him. So it's a little upsetting, but I just had to wrestle who's in front of me, get the job done.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the perfect way to be upset, though. It's not like you didn't make it to him, he didn't make it to you. What a perfect way to be disappointed, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, it's not like he beat a scrub.
Yeah.
It's like, this kid's he's 17-year-old kid. He's a dang world champion. I mean, that's not, not an easy task. I mean, just looking at the bracket, I mean, obviously Ramos and Baden, they wrestled for 3rd and 4th, and then kid that got 5th, Jax Forrest. I mean, he's he's as legit as you can get. That was a tough bracket for sure. And then then Yakima Hollis was 6th. So yeah, so wow, that's like I said, impressive. And congratulations on just an outstanding tournament. But I'm sure you're not done yet, huh? What's in the new feature here?
Well, we wrestled UTC wrestled at Ohio last week. I didn't wrestle. The plan all year has been to redshirt.
Right.
And I was redshirting. That's why I went there, because I only have 1 year left, and I wanted to see kind of how I could wrestle at 25, see how I feel. After Clarion and seeing some results, like Van Treska got majored by a dude that Babin majored. So like stuff like that. And then I've seen a lot of results. The American kid that I majored last year, he's been beating a bunch of people. He dropped as well, and he's destroyed a couple ranked people. Just looking at the bracket, I think I can win it. So we're gonna go and wrestle.
That's it, huh?
That's awesome. I feel like we just like we're
pretty yeah, it was a pretty short red shirt season.
Yeah, pulling that shirt real quick. Tell you what, man, that's awesome though. Shoot.
Yeah. But for actually wrestling, yeah, for wrestling wise, I don't know. I'll probably wrestle sometime in December, but I'm not going to wrestle all of our dates. It's going to be kind of like shortened for me, just because my body's starting to get beat up and I'm getting injured a lot easier. And I talked to the coaches about it. Like, I'll wrestle. I'm going to wrestle. But even the past couple of years, like after the scuffle, because the season's long and hard, after the scuffle, I've kind of like felt like I'm already mentally out of it. So we're going to try and shorten my season a little bit to make sure I'm peaking and getting the national tournament healthy.
I think that's so smart. Because it's just, I am 100% sold on the fact that there is nothing more difficult than wrestling a Division I season. It's just not.
Yeah, it's so long,
it's so hard. It's such a grind, and it's just, and as good as the kids are getting now, I mean, you don't get any weeks off. I mean, you really don't.
Like any wrestling, anyone, you have a bad weight cut or you're just not feeling good, anyone can beat you.
Absolutely.
There's no easy matches.
I mean, there's so many good kids across our country coming out of high school now. Yeah, when you throw them, I mean, that you just spread them out amongst what we have 77 programs now. I mean, it's just a lot of really, really good kids spread out against not very many programs. So, like you said, you can have a bad weight cut, you can be feeling under the weather, something happens, and all of a sudden, boom. And then the way the system works, as far as national qualifiers and that type of stuff, I mean, it is what it is. Plus, just I mean, overall, it's your body. I mean, I mean, that's a great plan.
I mean, this is my 5th year. It's starting to catch up to me.
Yeah. It was interesting because I mean, when Spencer Lee did an interview, his first one, like after last year's nationals, I mean, he was talking about that same exact thing. He was almost like, man, I couldn't really wait for just the college season to get over with. I mean, it's just
I mean, I had a bunch of injuries, and then you see like obviously like watching nationals, see guys taped up and stuff, but like behind the curtains. There's some guys that have like 5-6 different injuries that they're getting taped up, and it's rough.
Yeah.
And I had 2 or 3 things. I had my back, and then my knee was sprained, and a couple other little nagging things. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
It goes to show how much you put into it, though, especially as like a college or elite level athlete. Like, it's not just what you can do on the mat, Monday through Friday. There's so much science and art and thought to like making sure you can peak at the right time. And I feel like that also adds so much to like you being a successful athlete, is being able to have that maturity versus just trying to go on every day.
I mean, that's been a lot of like, I'm an exercise science and nutrition major. I struggled my weight a little bit when I first got here, but like even that, like right now, like for this weight cut, because it is a hard weight cut for me, like I had everything weighed out. I had dialed in. All right, I'm gonna weigh this before my workout, after my workout, and it was not an easy cut, but I hit like every single weight I wanted to do. Like I was on track the whole time, and I figured out what my body, like what foods my body responds to and feels better with. Because obviously, like you can tell people what foods are healthy, but I think it's big, like depends on how your body reacts. At least I think so. And like then I have what I eat after weigh-ins every time. Like I have it all kind of down to science for me. And sleep too is a big thing. I try to at least get 8 hours of sleep. I don't always do it, but I would like to get at least 8 hours. And a big thing for me too so far this year is, like I said, I want to peak. I'm always trying to get in extra workouts, and I'm actually trying to hold myself back right now and not totally work out like 3 times a day because I don't want to beat myself up. So trying to hold myself back until about mid-January, and then I can go full sprint and go to the end. But I'm trying to hold myself back a little bit. It's kind of hard.
Well, I tell you what, Kenya, we're gonna we got about probably about maybe 25 or 30 new viewers viewing this podcast tomorrow night, because really what Brayden just said in the last maybe like 3 to 5 minutes there about like his preparation from just a nutritional and weight loss standpoint is the exact conversation that I'm going to be having at practice tomorrow. We're having actually a classroom setting for our practice tomorrow, Young Guns, and it's gonna. I've got them all like they've all filled out like a evaluation form of themselves and their wrestling, but a large portion of our time is going to be directly like related to like their diet and their nutrition and their weight descent, which is something that high school kids.
It's such an important aspect.
They have no clue on what's going on.
Yeah.
They also have no clue like as far as like how meticulous you have to be and like how habitual you have to be to put yourself in a situation where you can optimize your performance. And Brayden just hit the nail right on the head. I mean, and that just takes a great deal of maturity without question.
It's I've really changed my mindset with wrestling the past year and a half or so. It's even just like practice. I've just being a student of the game, I think I've grown a lot, like really thinking as I'm practicing, which just sounds weird, but a lot of the time you can just go in, I'm just drilling and just doing the motions, but I'm like really thinking through positions. And the thing I like the most, I really don't like just plain drilling. Like I like sparring. I don't think really once you get to the D1 level, I don't really think like just normal drilling has much benefit, if I'm gonna be honest, because it just doesn't give you the right feel. And then I just feel like sparring, like I don't know if I know you've watched me, but Kenya, I don't know if you've watched me. I'm a really weird wrestler, so I like just trying stuff, and I'm not like a lot of the stuff that I do. I've kind of taught myself and just figured it out from messing around.
Right, and you'll never end up in those positions.
I just love trying stuff out and thinking through positions, and a lot of the stuff that I do, like my scrambling and my top, like I've basically taught myself most of it.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. But with that, I can't wait to have him here to do it. I've got him for 3 hours and Black Friday.
That'll be fun.
Myself, I always got to be a student of sport.
I'm excited for that too. I got a couple of camps set up. Because I want to coach after college. So I've done about this past summer. I did about 7 to 10 camps. I don't know exactly, but that was like my first time like really coaching, and I think that has also helped me a little bit just because it gives you a different perspective. Like also when I'm showing moves, like as I got going, there's like some things I'm like, I don't even realize I'm doing this when I do the move, and I just kind of do it, and I forget to like explain it or tell them. But it was just cool. Like how much I grew just doing the camps over the summer. Because as you guys know, just because you're a good wrestler doesn't mean you're going to be a good coach. So
absolutely,
I like doing camps so I can get better as a coach, and also I'm getting better as a wrestler too, just because I'm thinking through the positions more and getting a different perspective than just doing the moves, I guess.
Right. So basically in addition to obviously the preparation that you've made with the weight cut and the weight descent and nutrition change, you attribute a lot of, I guess, the success you're having right now as far as you getting to getting to this next level with your attitude towards practice as well. I know you already mentioned, that you thought through positions and stuff like that, but from a mental standpoint going into practice, how has that changed?
Yeah, that has changed as well a lot too. First couple years of college and even starting to get to like the end of high school, it just kind of like, it almost felt like a job. It's like, I gotta go to practice. But now I think it's because I'm more at the tail end of my career, and I'm not going to wrestle like after college. I just don't, my body hurts. I don't really to, but just being grateful like that I get to wrestle at the D1 level, and I just get to wrestle in general. I was telling my mom and stuff, like even being in the rankings and winning a big college tournament like that. Like when I was middle school and early years of high school, even first couple years of college, like I always wanted to be like one of those kids that was high in the rankings or winning those big tournaments, and I'd go 0-2 at Super 32 or something.
Right.
And I always wanted to be one of those kids. So it's just super, super grateful that I am one of those high level wrestlers now, because I never thought I would be. And then also just having fun, staying present. Like I said, I only got maybe 6 months left to my actual active wrestling career. So just enjoying it while I have it.
Wow, that's awesome. It's a great perspective right there. It really is. Because it's difficult too in wrestling, because it's such a hard it's hard to be grateful that you're a wrestler at times. Sometimes you're like, how am I supposed to be grateful for this? Because this is
I mean, it's hard. It's not easy.
This is awful, you know. Wow.
And I think too, towards my matches, kind of like this past weekend at Clarion, like it sounds kind of weird. Like I do a hard warm up right after weigh-ins, but I don't really warm up at all. Like right before my matches, I'm just kind of bounce around. I put my singlet on, I go out there, and I don't know. It's weird. Like for me, if I don't watch film on my opponents. I don't really think too much about like the matches before I just go wrestle. Because if I listen to music, watch film, I overthink it. So I just I overthink it, get in my own head, or if I'm taking it too serious, listen to music. It's just like get in my own head and overthink it, and then I get nervous. So I just kind of mess around, joke around. Like I was just talking to my dad, messing around, and then just go wrestle. And
I mean, but everybody's different. You know?
Yeah, when I take it too seriously, I don't wrestle my best. I just have fun. Hey, I get to go wrestle. I love wrestling. I'm just gonna go have fun and wrestle and be happy with the results.
Well, that's what's gonna make you a great coach, though, too, Brayden, is the fact that you understand that there's different ways to do it. It's not just all like, okay, this is what we're doing it. I mean, obviously, when you become a coach, you're going to understand that there's a culture and there's a corporate type of atmosphere that you want to cultivate amongst your team, but you are also going to have an individual here, an individual here, an individual here. You're going to need a little bit more, a little bit less.
Right.
I mean, everyone's different. You just kind of figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, your program goals have got to be very synonymous. You got to have, okay, these are our pillars of what our program's about. And this is what this is what our character is about. This is what we're going to be about. But at the end of the day, it's also got to bleed down to some individuality, because everybody has to be an individual. And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's awesome. That's really super intriguing, though, as far as like those just not only the physical side of it, but also the mental switches that you've made here in the past year that have, really, kind of, brought you to where you are and where you're going to be going. I mean, you got, it sounds to me like you have a plan.
Another little one, which just seems kind of dumb, but like just telling myself that I am that good. Because sometimes I don't think it, like last year wrestling like RBY and stuff. I'm like, oh, I got RBY, but I'm like, I've also made it here. Like
you deserve it.
Like I'm wrestling him. It's not like I just got thrown out there. Like I made it to this point. Like I should be here.
That's a great point. I'm telling you what, this is gold right here for not only for kids that are listening, but also coaches that are listening, because coaches at the same time bring this stuff and to their athletes and how they get them to buy into that, because this mental side that you're talking about right now is one of the huge hang-ups, for kids in general. They don't know how to approach matches. They don't know how to approach this. And that's a great perspective on it right there. I mean, you earned your way there. And
then also like I love wrestling those top guys. It's just fun to me. I love testing myself, seeing where I'm at. That's
awesome.
So much fun. It's weird, but I get way more nervous like wrestling people I should beat up than like a ranked guy or a top level guy, just because I don't know why, but I love wrestling the top guys, just seeing where I'm at. I think it's just so much fun wrestling the top level guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Were you the same way, Kenya, in your college career?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think, I mean, whenever a lot of athletes can probably relate to it, but whenever you're the underdog going into a match or a tournament, it's like it almost frees you to just wrestle your best without any expectations, versus like being predicted to win this match or beat this person at this duel. And then it's like, oh no, if I don't win, it's bad, versus going into, wrestling some of the best athletes in the state or the country or the world. And then it's like, I mean, if I don't win, then I don't win. But if I win, I freaking won, It's like definitely, I think it freed me to play more and just to like see, whatever happens, instead of being reserved because of my nerves or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I tell you what, Kenny, you got anything? You got any other questions here for Brayden?
Oh no, man! Like you have offered it without even us asking you for advice. You've given us such like wonderful advice and like truly like an inside perspective on what it's like to be a D1 athlete and like all these small things that go into making an elite level successful athlete on your level. I think there's things that, you know, a lot of us don't even think about. So I'm so grateful we had you on. You like shared all the things that go into your training and not just what happens on the mat. It's going to be super helpful for a lot of people.
I enjoyed it. No problem.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, like I said, and I obviously can't wait to have you, up here on Black Friday, for our camp. And any of you Young Guns Nashville guys that are listening right now, plan on listening to this back tomorrow during practice. Because now when Coach Asher says it, that's one thing. But now when
you've heard it from someone
like Brayden Palmer says it. Oh yeah, well, hey, did you hear what Brayden said? Yeah, bro. Brayden.
I was the same way. Like, you listen to those college guys or like more someone closer to your age. You just listen to them more, even though I don't know why, but I was the same way when I was younger. I just did. It's like my dad or something would tell me something.
Exactly.
I don't want to listen to you, but then good high school guy, state champ, something. Oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to him. I don't know.
I experienced.
Weird. I don't know.
Yeah, my very first year of coaching, way back in 1996. So 1996, I was the first year coach at Durant High School, and I'd get in there. I was full of energy. I was showing these kids all these techniques I learned at Iowa, blah 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 blah, and and they're doing a good job picking it up. I had Tom Brands. Tom Brands obviously won the Olympics in '96. So I had Tom come in the fall and talk to the whole student body. I mean, student body wasn't. I mean, our graduating classes at Durant at the time were like 50 kids.
Yeah.
So it was like our auditorium is filled. We had Olympic gold medalists in there, and then he had him, do some technique in our room, with my wrestling guys. And they're like, "Oh my God, Coach, did you see what Tom showed us?" I'm like, yeah.
The same thing I showed.
Yeah, I saw that. yeah. Oh my God, I'm gonna start doing it that way. Oh, okay, well, good. Well, I'm glad. He was doing that to me for 5 years. I showed that to you guys on how to do it. And, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. But it's funny. It is what it is. So. But no, Brayden, like I said, man, we really, really appreciate your time here and appreciate you being from Tennessee boy, making everybody proud.
Yeah.
And we cannot wait to see, what unfolds here. 125 pounders.
Look out.
Level. Tell you what, they're on blast now. Look out. Now they know. They know. You ain't no secret no more, my man.
No, I'm not.
You ain't no secret anymore.
Yeah, we're keeping it a little bit under, but it's out there now. So
no, you're no secret no more. So, but no, man, we're super proud of you, and like I said, we're very, very thankful for you for coming on and sharing your time with us and sharing some really, really great information with these guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome, man. Well, sounds good. I'll see you here in a couple weeks, buddy.
All right, thank you. See you.
Right.
Yeah, man, great kid. Kid. Too. I mean, shoot, those guys that he's beating at that open tournament. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty strong performance there. Yeah, I can't wait to have him in on.
I know it sounds fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So I actually made it very, very easy for the high school kids to come too, because normally, obviously, you remember at Thanksgiving usually off, Friday. Coaches bring you in right away, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so like, okay, step on the scale. How much?
Sweat out the turkey. Hey, let me see what you weigh. So obviously, all the high schools in the area will probably have practices early in the morning, but he's not teaching until like 11 o'clock on the last 2 sessions. So, so they'll miss me teaching, which is totally fine. I'm teaching the last 2 sessions, and
it sounds like they'll listen to him more, anyways.
Yeah, of course they will. I knew that. So I bumped him in the back. They might even show up. I didn't show up to mine. So, but no, we have actually a really, really good turnout so far. We got quite a few kids. It's almost full, actually. I'm so excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but hey, there we go. Okay, sorry, Junior, we're not doing an hour and a half. We are dialing this back to an hour, not just because of the name, but we are not gonna, because Kenny and I decided that we have way too many cool people to talk to in this state. And pretty soon we're going to be on here for 3 hours, and that ain't happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But, back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast, just like a plug for, anyone who wants to send us leads. Like, I think the last thing we want to happen is just us to have people on the podcast because we know them and like happen to be keeping up with them. I mean, there's so much going on in the state and people who have come from our state. So I don't know what's best, probably on the Instagram, or even comments on the videos if you're watching them on YouTube or anything. If there's somebody you think we need to have on or something going on, just let us know, and I would value it a lot.
That's a great point. I think they they'll just comment on the YouTube page when you watch it on YouTube. If you're watching it right now, which like I said, we're hovering at 11.
Look at us.
Double
no one's
digits.
left. We need to wrap it up. We need to wrap it up before they start to leave.
Double digits. I might want to screenshot this. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do that. Screenshot it. Screenshot it. When I put this on my Instagram tomorrow, I'm going to screenshot it, and I'm going to throw this screenshot out there. I'm going to circle that 11. All right, here we go. On the count of 3, make sure you smile. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's it right there. And I think I got him on the 11 because one just dropped off. All right, so there we go. So we're still at double digits, though. We're still at double digits. So we're double digits now with live viewers. So we're getting there. So gotta start somewhere. So great show tonight, man. Two great those guests. I tell you what, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know how to reach like the highest level you can in the sport of wrestling, then this is a good show for you to watch and just take in some of this advice from 2 amazing athletes that we have from Tennessee.
I know. Love it. That was great.
All right.
How they both got in, like Fowler. I mean, training on turkey time for.
Like so much advice.
Don't even know that's like part of the game. It's part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to do that. I mean,
you got to do that if you want to win. So.
Yeah. Terry Brands, I remember him waking me up like 2 a.m. and wrestling on Russian time. Does that?
And you're like, why? Come on.
What am I doing here? What are we doing? I'm not wrestling in Russia. You are. And then, what Brayden said. I tell you what Brayden said about the nutrition and the dieting and that type of stuff is so on point. And then, his perspective on practice. I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like all these things that you could learn as you go, as you continue in the sport, or you could just take it from someone else and learn it early and just be that much further ahead. So I hope everyone can do that.
Love it. There we go.
All right. We'll finish there today. We'll see you guys next week.
That's it. Kenya, thanks so much.
Thanks,
everyone. Good night, everyone.